Of Kohinoor Business School, welcome you all and all those who have joined us online. On behalf of KET Schools of Management, Kohinoor Business School and Kohinoor Management School, to this special occasion of launch of the book, Banking Beyond Borders, written on the veteran banker and thought leader, Mr. Mohan Tangzare. We have gathered here to celebrate not just the birth of this book, but also the countless hours of efforts, passion, creativity, and dedication that has went into its making. Before we proceed, I would like to invite our dignitaries, C.A. Sunilji Karve, Shri Mohan Tangzare, Ms. Nandini Tangzare, Mr. M.V. Nair, Mr. Mandar Mhatre, Mr. Janvi Samant, Dr. Sandeep Sawant, Dr. Bharti Deshpande, and Dr. Svetlana Tatuskar to participate in lighting the ceremonial lamp and mark the beginning of this auspicious event. I also request Leeladhar sir and Kamath sir and all the others who have joined us online to bless us on this occasion. I also request our faculty, Ms. Minoti Naik, to render the Saraswati Vandana.
या कुंदेन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्रावृता या वीणावर दण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शंकर प्रभूतिभिः देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेष जाड्यापहा.
With the light of the knowledge and creativity now shining brightly before us, we can now proceed with today's event. This book launch has been organized by KT Schools of Management Learning Resource Center under the aegis of Granth Gyaanis, our book club. Kohinoor Education Trust, under its umbrella, has Kohinoor Business School, KBS, and Kohinoor Management School, KMS. KBS offers the full-time AICTE approved and NAC accredited Master of Management Studies MMS program, which is affiliated to the University of Mumbai, whereas KMS offers 2-year full-time AICTE approved and South Asian Quality Systems SACS accredited PGDM program, which is now equivalent to MBA as per AIU, and is a curated mix of both practical and theoretical knowledge. KT Schools of Management Learning Resource Center is not just a library. The library team, led by Ms. Jayashree Mawle, always strives to curate varied programs to attract readers to the library. And Granth Gyaanis being a forum that has been established with the same purpose. Granth Gyaanis, our book club, has been formed with the objective of fostering the reading habit among students and to exchange ideas about the interesting reading material that readers come across. Granth Gyaanis has just begun its journey, and we propose to organize talks, visits to workshops, and visits to literary festivals, among the other activities. KT Schools of Management's Learning Resource Center and Granth Gyaanis are privileged to host the first book launch under their banner. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and warmly welcome our distinguished guests and panelists, distinguished members from the industry, and well-wishers who have come here today. We are truly honored to have you with us. Your presence is a witness to the significance of this event and the power of literature in our society. Please join me in giving a huge round of applause. Our guest of honor today is Mr. M.V. Nair. Mr. Nair is the senior advisor, board member, investor, and operator in the Indian financial services industry. He is currently the non-executive chairman of KFin Technologies Private Limited, India's largest registrar and market leader in investor servicing. He is also an operating advisor to the Westbridge Capital, India's largest domestic private equity fund, and an advisor to TransUnion, Global Credit Reporting Agency. He also advises select private equity and venture-backed companies such as Perfuse, Propelled, Credgenics, Procap, and New Street Technologies. In the past, Mr. Nair has worked in the capacity of the chairman of TransUnion, CIBIL, India's largest credit bureau, chairman and managing director of Union Bank of India and Dena Bank, and the chairman, Swift India Domestic Services Private Limited. Moreover, he has been the chairman of Indian Banks Association and has served and continues to serve on several crucial committees in the Ministry of Finance, Confederation of Indian Industries, and the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry in areas pertaining to banking and financial services. I now request C.A. Sunilji Karve, Honorary Chairman, Governing Board, KET, to felicitate Mr. Nair with a token of our appreciation. And I also request Mr. Nair to address the audience thereafter.
Thank you, Sanika. First of all, I want to thank my very good friend, Mr. Mohan Saleh, because he is the only person who can bring me, a reluctant speaker, to speak to this audience. Thank you very much, Mohan. So it's indeed an honor for me to join all of you, especially Granth Gyaanis, the book club of Keynote's School of Management, in today's book launch program of Mr. Mohan Saleh. Mrs. Nandini, as a matter of fact, I think more than half the credit goes to Nandini. So she is the driving force. Dr. Svetlana, Mr. Mandar Matre, Anand Bajaj, Kiran Shetty, Sai Krishnan, and my good friend Manish, and other dignitaries here, and dear students, ladies and gentlemen, assembled here as well as those who have joined online. A very good afternoon to all of you. So first of all, thank you for joining also. So on behalf of everybody, I would like to say, you know, 4 of us are from Credit Bureau world here, 4 of us. So I had a very interesting experience recently. I thought I'll share it with you. We have a very good, where I stay, almost 600 families and well knit. So each one knows each other, almost. Most of us know each other. So recently, about a year back, a family moved in from US. So Bhargavas is their name. And normally we get introduced, and we were also got introduced. So they actually have come from US for good. So I said, in 50s, why is that you have moved the lock, stock and barrel to India? He said they were the founding members of Elon Musk. So the great Elon Musk founding team members, they said that we have made a lot of money, so now we want to spend time here and build a business for our son. And one of the purpose is to find a good match for my son. So the moment I got introduced as, at that time I was chairman of CIBIL, she said, you know, Ms. Nair, the earlier days horoscope matching and finding a good family background is a past today. What we need today is a good CIBIL score and good blood report which matches. So I think though it was a very funny incident, all of us had a hearty laugh, but fact remains, she did say what is the future of whole world and more importantly for India. I believe we are in an inflection point, primarily driven by data. So, but having said that, when the youngsters are here, and especially when we say, when we say our average age is about 29, it also comes with a lot of challenges because young population need to get placed or have to start some enterprise. It actually bothers me most of the time because if you read the book of Mohan Saleh, it also gives indication of our generation, all that we wanted only to get a job, whatever job it is. But I'll give you that context a little later. But today it's not so. There are multiple opportunities. But having said that, when you have large young population, so what are the real challenges is the question. I would say first, have confidence because one factor, the reforms our government, consistent government, I will not say one government, consistent governments have pursued, has taken up this far, will take us far ahead. Number 2, this government has actually positioned India globally very, very well. Number 3, there is a determination to ride the data revolution. And there's an important one, because this is the next generation of revolution. All these three opens up vistas. But from your side, I would like to say, you should be capable enough to find right opportunity, not only in India, across the globe. Grab that opportunity. Wish you all the best. I think I wanted to start with this for this audience. You know, banking experience has changed. I'll come to banking because the book is on banking. Banking experience has changed dramatically. Last 60 years, I would say. And it will change dramatically as going forward. The strong foundation laid by public sector banks, the first 20 to 30 years, the last 20 years change that is happening is remarkable. Remarkable. I think what really, distinguishes this book by Mr. Mohan Tangsale, that's Banking Beyond Borders, the fascinating story of how public sector banks strengthen the rural infrastructure, credit infrastructure for this nation. And it's important to know, because if you go to, say, African countries, this model doesn't work there. You have to go for mobile-based payment model. But here, let's say tomorrow we want our country to grow at 10% of GDP. But 10% GDP without enabling capability can only drive inflation. So similarly, when we drive the data revolution, unless we have built that capabilities across the nation, small villages, large nation it is, it may not actually meet the success, what is desired. The whole journey of financial inclusion is very fascinating to read. I would like every one of you to read this, whether it is what we call as a lead bank scheme, where every district collector and district lead manager sits together and all the bankers together, prepare an annual action plan for the district, implement it. But we have to look at the context. Context is it's not resource, it's a resource-hungry nation at that time. Even what could be allocated by the government is very minuscule. So you have to work through the banking system. Then state-level bankers committee, SLBC, where the chief ministers used to chair, and we had responsibility SLBC in Gujarat. So chief minister, present prime minister himself used to come, and I was the chairman at that time. Or integrated rural development program, the world's largest SLJ program. All these are experimentation worth reading, understanding how we have evolved till now. And there is an experimentation on the RRBs, regional rural banks. Some of the regional rural banks today is much larger than small finance banks. That, I would like to make the point. But initially when we started, what is the thought process? There are money lenders. We want to replace money lenders. And the Nationalist Bank cannot do it because we have well-paid bankers. We should say at that time, my manager is like a most well-paid person in a rural village, which people will not accept you because it's a highly paid person. So we wanted to recreate something like a money lender with a gaddi. Somebody could sit there, a banker, and dispense the facilities, banking facilities. But it's a different matter. It didn't remain so because unions did work differently. But having said that, multiple experimentation that has happened has been captured in this beautiful book. He has written it beautifully. I would also say it is a conversational style he has used and a lucid writing in a simple English, very simple English, which his audience that he had in mind, which could reach. I would rather say, all of you, I'm not a very great reader, you can complete it in one sitting. Then you can actually read it in one sitting. So, great to read. Now, there are 3 advantages of reading this book. There also, let me share it on behalf of Mr. Mahantang Sade. First is, you will find making of a leader, how it happened. Because it's a very rare banker who started as in the clerical post, moved 3 banks, and come back to the same bank where he started as a clerk, as a chairman of the bank. There is one part of it, the macro part. There is a other part. I think he was one rare banker who had worked in a rural area, who has worked in, I think, SLBC. Entire lead bank, this one, region rural bank. You name in the banking sector what all the things happened, he had a hand in all those things. I don't think many, I can't claim even 50% of the experience that he had, but that is the beauty of him. So making of a leader, what is it that he went through will be a great reading for you. So that's the first on the leadership side. There is a second part, the evolution of banking landscape through the years is wonderful to see. Say, for example, I'll give you an example. Many of you will, very difficult for you to sort of even think about it. When I was studying in Mangalore, it's in Karnataka state. My native place was Kasaragod, which is in Kerala state. Distance is only 50 kilometers. But we were born and brought up in Mangalore. My grandfather is in Kasaragod, 50 kilometers. But because we had, India was going through huge food shortage at that time. To take rice to my grandfather, to Kasaragod, was considered as smuggling. Can you believe? That was India at that time. In that context, how the banking evolved at different stages is a wonderful thing to read in this book. You'll come to know. Then there are a third one, most important, I felt, is every chapter has afterwards, there are a few takeaways. Beautiful words of wisdom that he gives you. And very powerful words of wisdom. And sometimes, when I read that book, I thought, like we used to say, you face any problem in life, Bhagavad Gita gives you a solution. Likewise, as you go through in your life as a leadership lessons, I think this book will give you a lot of insights. But I'll pick up one or two things, words of wisdom, and elaborate a little bit so that the context is good. One place he says, banking is not lending so much as problem solving. He believed in it. He went up to the extent at the time of preparing balance sheets, financials of the company to lend. Of course, today if you ask me, no banker will do it. That I can tell you. It's not required. Fact of the matter is, it's not required. Now, it has got some linkage. Say, for example, the problem solving is what I want to expand. Almost 20 years back, it's about beginning of 2000s, till then, all Indian families were reluctant to borrow. I don't know how many of you know. Nobody wanted to borrow. Borrowing, if I have to buy a flat, I'll first save and then buy. So we start a small flat after age of 50 or 60. Around 50 we can say. But we wanted to communicate that you better borrow and buy a flat. Because it's a secured loan for banks also. But how do you communicate? There are two, communication. I think ad factors will say so. The value that we wanted to give. One is, instead of paying a rent, equal amount you pay as EMI. So we'll give you extended loan, 20 years or 30 years. You give EMI equivalent to the rent, but you own your dream home. Okay, that is the communication, powerful communication. Slowly, people started coming because we had a confidence, because we had approved the project. It was by and large known to us. That is the first one. So what is the communication? Choose your dream home. Loan is not a product. Loan will come with this, with the product. Product is home. Product is home. That is the changed communication we did. Later, we all came into existence. Bureaus came into existence. And that's a seminal, step taken by Reserve Bank of India of bringing in what we call it as a Credit Information Act. So what it meant is we started capturing the past details of the borrowers. As a result, the car loans, when it was to be made, all that we said is, with the bankers and NBFCs we joined together, we said, okay, you, of course, end of the day, car is also a family decision. Husband, wife, you go, choose the car, choose the color, and give your identity details and things like that. Of course, Manish is the first person to sort of start it off. He is here with me. And you take the key, drive the car home. Okay, that was the one. So, car loan is not a product. Car is the product. So, some of these are what Mohan actually said. It is a problem solving what matters. I think it's all. I'll not take too much of a time. I will only give you some hint about the future. The way the future will happen is because of the digital public infrastructure, which most of you know, all youngsters, you know about it, Aadhaar or UPI or DigiLocker. Not too distant away. Let us say we name a borrower as Kavita. She is in Azamgarh, small village. She wants to take a loan of 50,000, and she can see on her mobile in the marketplace which bank the best rate of interest they offer, push the data through account aggregator to that bank if she has got good record. Banks, let us say bank is in Chennai, Indian bank, they sanction, credit through UPI to her account, 10% interest, let us say, and she pays back through UPI. Very simple. Right now it may not be, because I think the moment conversational ability to communicate in the mobile happens, then that is the time. But yeah, sorry. So, but that is the time, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, this will also happen. Why I made this example is, in one place, Mohan Tangsale says that we gave in one of the slums in Mumbai, loan of 100 rupees in the morning to a vegetable vendor, and evening she has to return 110 rupees. What is the rate of interest? 10% for 1 day, 3,650% per annum, versus 10% effortlessly that she will get. So these are the future that is, going to happen. Mr. Mohan, thank you very much for documenting this. It's a beautiful book. I wish all the very best. Let the book do very well. More importantly, more than the selling of the book, let the book reach everybody's hand. Let them really read and enjoy. I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts and words of wisdom with us today. As we gather to celebrate the book launch, we must take a moment to honor the person who made it all possible. The brilliant mind who is not just the subject of this book, but the driving force behind it, Mr. Mohan Tangsale. Mr. Tangsale, sir, is the former CEO of Indian Banks Association and former CMD of Central Bank of India. He is currently the strategic consultant to Swift India and mentor to Rubik's Data Sciences, Nearby Technologies, and online PSB loans. He has been conferred with the Golden Peacock HR Excellence Award 2012 and the Person of the Year for his contribution to financial inclusion by Scotch Foundation. He has served on several prestigious committees such as Board of International Banking Federation, the Governing Council of Institute of Banking and Personnel Selection, the Governing Council of Institute of Banking and Finance, the RBI Standing Advisory Committee for Urban Cooperative Banks, the committee set up by the Department of Financial Services under Ministry of Finance, the Pension Advisory Committee of PFRDA, and the National Governing Council of Institute of Cost Accountants of India. We are truly honored to have such a stalwart in our midst today. And now, we come to the most awaited moment of this event, the official launch of Banking Beyond Borders. To make this moment truly special, I would like to invite our dignitaries, C.A. Sunilji Karve, Mr. Mohan Tangzade, and Ms. Nandini Tangzade ma'am, who has walked with Tangzade sir through every bit of the journey and has been there through every stage of the book. Mr. M.V. Nair, Mr. Mandar Mhatre, Chief Revenue Officer at For Medium, Mr. Anand Kumar Bajaj, Founder, MD, and CEO of Pay Nearby, Mr. Kiran Shetty, CEO and Regional Head at Swift India, Mr. Sai Krishnan Srinivasan, MD of Experian Credit Information Company, Ms. Janvi Samant, Senior Group Head, Content and Marketing, Ad Factors, Dr. Sandeep Sawant, Director, Kohinoor Management School, Dr. Bharti Deshpande, Dean, Kohinoor Business School, and Dr. Svetlana Tatuskar, Director, Kohinoor Business School, to join us on stage for the ceremonial unveiling of the book. Thank you to all our dignitaries and to all the mentors for adding such grace and honor to this momentous occasion. I would now like to invite Ms. Janvi Samant on the dais to deliver a short presentation on the book.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Janvi Samant, and I have contributed very little bit to this book that you now see. I can't tell you how much of a privilege and pleasure it is to stand here and see this book take shape and life. I have been involved with it since January. Sir has been working, Sir and Svetlana and Mandar have been working on it for some more time before that. And it's the whole experience of working on the book was so enjoyable and so enlightening for me. Working with Mohan sir, I was just telling Mandar that it's not easy to get so many big people, illustrious people, under one roof for a book launch. It's not easy. You have to be someone really special in order to make this happen. And I think Mohan sir is, Mr. Mohan Tangsale is that big person who could get so many important people together, so many experts under one roof. We are PR people, and I know how difficult it is professionally to do this. So the book, working on the book was interesting not only because Mr. Nair has said most of the stuff I was going to say about the book. And it's not special just because it is about the banking industry, but it is also interwoven with so many of Mohan sir's personal experiences, his growth journey, his understanding of the world around him, the banking ecosystem. So many things are interwoven in that story about the banking world that it automatically becomes interesting. When I started first working on the book, Mandar asked me to work on it, and I told him, what am I going to write about banking? I don't know anything about banking. I'm not an expert. I have not worked in finance. The only interaction I have with the bank is as a customer. And over the number of meetings I had with Mohan sir, I realized this is such a fascinating world. And that there is, Mr. Nair brought up that point about banking being the lifeline of an economy. And that statement was very valuable to me as well, because I never thought of banking in that manner till the time I met Mr. Mohan Tangsale. And we started working on this book. I'll start with the presentation. So I'll just give you a short glimpse into the book. I won't take very long. It's just a little peek to just give you a sense of what is inside. Where do I? Nothing is there. It's a blank screen. Next. Oh, okay. This memoir, of course, captures Mohan sir's rise as a clerk in Central Bank of India, and then at the peak of his career, he was the chairman, managing director of Central Bank of India again. And to read it is just one line, but there is a lot of learning and a lot of hard work and a lot of clarity of thought that has gone into this. And it has a lot of professional lessons. A lot of students are sitting here, and I would say that the lessons are not only meant for young bankers, but also all professionals. Anyone in any industry can take from these lessons and would still be able to use many of those lessons. Mr. Nair, of course, said that Mr. Tangsale came from Bhopal and worked in rural areas and then came to Bombay, and he has such a solid understanding of the banking ecosystem that it was an eye-opener for me, actually, who was completely unaware of how the banking world operates. I'll just skim through the rest of it. It captures the LPG phase of Indian banking, and it captures it in a way that makes it easy to understand. For me, I think Mohan sir's biggest skill has been to break down the larger complexities of the banking and the finance world to someone like me who couldn't understand any of it, but to break it into really simple concepts and to attach it to values, ethics, as well as problem solving, and how banking is actually what he said was it's a method of problem solving for people, and when you do that, then it becomes the lifeline of an economy. The rise of digital banking and fintech, ethical governance and compliance. Mohan sir has talked a lot about it in the book. There are, of course, forewords from Mr. V. Leeladhar. He is written about Mohan sir. All young bankers and professionals can take lessons from this book. Mr. Nair himself was here and he's spoken at length about the book. He keeps himself relevant in the industry through his constant endeavor of reskilling and relearning. A book that deserves to be in the library of every management school and college. And Mr. K.R. Kamat. So there's a lot of stuff that Mr. Tangsale has written on the customer of a branch becoming the customer of a bank. And I think there's a lot of interesting incidents and case studies that he's mentioned there. Banking is about touching people's lives and making a difference. And this, I think, Mohan sir has been very critical in making me understand that a good banker will change people's lives. These are some of the personal lessons that I have taken from this book. Mr. Nair also mentioned that some of these lessons were meant for young leaders. And I think as someone who's learning about leadership on the go, these were some of the lessons that, and I think these are some of the lessons that Mohan sir actually practices. And I could see that he practices this, that he believes in this, and I have been able to take a lot from there personally. Approach all work with an open mind. Maximize your learning. Practice humility. Always be helpful. Mohan sir himself is a living example of all these tips, actually. And he implements it in day to day, every minute by minute, hour by hour, he practices these things. So it's not just him saying it, he actually lives by these tips. Because we've been closing the book production and we've been under immense stress to close this, and he's been so patient and so supportive and so helpful, never once losing his temper, never once losing patience. We've been really scrambling, but he's always been cool and helpful and always, happy to sort the problem and get it done. Banking goes beyond paperwork. These are some of the things about banking that I learned. Personal growth happens when organizational growth happens. And very interestingly, he spoke about KYC, but then he also spoke about, as a manager, how he thought about know your own bank, know your own competition, know your own customer, know your borrower, and how all that knowledge, when we talk about data today, in today's world, what he has done 3-4 decades ago is also data, but it was data in that old-fashioned sense where he made sense of whatever information he got about his customers and about his branch that helped him do whatever he did and be the change agent that he could be for the banking industry. Yes, thank you so much for being patient with me. These are some of the lessons I took from the book. I hope you all have the time to read it, go through it. And we have a pre-order link if someone wants to order the book. We have only so many copies here right now, but if someone wants to order the book on Amazon, please do come to me and I'll organize how to get it. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Ms. Janvi Samant for offering us an insight into different aspects of this book, and I'm sure we all are excited to get our personal copy soon. We will now begin with the most interesting part of this event, which is panel discussion. I request all of you to kindly allow us to set up a few things on stage before panel discussion. So, to make this conversation insightful and engaging, we are honored to have with us a distinguished panel of experts and thought leaders. It is now my pleasure to invite our respected dignitaries to join us on the dais. I request Shri Mohan Tangzade, Mr. Mandar Mhatre, Mr. Anand Kumar Bajaj, Mr. Kiran Shetty, Mr. Sai Krishnan Srinivasan, and Dr. Svetlana Tatuskar to join us on the dais for the panel discussion.
So good evening to all. It is an honor to be on the dais today, surrounded by expert minds representing varied spaces in the financial system of the country. Friends, what I see and experience right now on the dais is 150 plus years of experience waiting to share their knowledge on a topic which is so relevant today, banking beyond borders. The borders, my dear friends, that we are going to talk today is not only the geographical borders, but some of the very important borders that the Indian banking sector has transcended today. We are going to talk about how the banking sector has looked at risk management, financial inclusion, technological intervention, changing customer expectations with the digital-first customer, leadership and mentorship. Before we delve into the discussions of today, let me have the honor of introducing our panel members. Next to me is Shri Mohan Tangzade sir. My student Sanika has already introduced sir, but having spent 100 plus hours with sir over the book, I can't resist on speaking some of the sentences that I have experienced with sir. Sir is a veteran banker, 4 decades of experience in the banking industry. He has lived the banking industry, my dear friends, let me tell you, joining the bank in early 70s until date. I think he's lived the entire era of LPG. He's lived the era of the financial apocalypse of 2008. He has lived the asset quality issue in 2015 to the very recent COVID pandemic. He's seen it all in the banking sector. Apart from being on very important committees with the central bank of the country, which is Reserve Bank of India, he also represents India on several banking forums out of India also, that is a global banking forums. He heads the board of several public sector organizations like the Life Insurance Corporation of India. He's also on the boards of several PSB subsidiaries of the Punjab National Bank and Union Bank of India. He very closely works with the Ministry of Finance also. I feel honored, sir, that I was a part of the book. Let's clap for sir. We have Mr. Mandar Mhatre, a good friend and mentor. He's an experienced and inclusive leader with a proven track record of growing and institutionalizing organization. He's known as a culture enabler in his fraternity, and he's expert in navigating crisis. Some of the renowned organizations that Mandar has been with is foreign banks like JP Morgan, and most of his career spans with fund management companies, fund administration companies, renowned ones world over like the Apex, like Epic Investment Partner, and his present assignment is the Chief Revenue Officer with Formedian Technology. He's an early stage investor. He guides and mentors startups, Most of the startups which started with an idea have converted into commercial successes under the mentorship of Mandar. Something that is not there in the CV is Mandar is also an author. He's written a lovely book on personal finance which says, Papa Don't Preach. Thank you, thank you Mandar, for... Mr. Kiran Shetty, CEO and Regional Head, Swift India and South Asia. He is an accomplished fintech leader with 20 plus years of experience across top global companies in leadership role like Western Union, GE and Bank AM. He is successfully set up new businesses and launched new products. Friends, let's put our hands together for the next bit. He has received the National Award from the Government of India for his e-governance financial inclusions initiatives in the financial service sector. He is a member of several advisory committees with the regulators, one of which I will make a mention, Market Data Advisory Committee with SEBI. Thank you, Kiran, for making it. Mr. Sai Krishnan Srinivasan currently is the Managing Director and earlier Head of Credit Services of Experian Credit Information Company of India Private Limited. He is an accomplished retail finance professional with 27 years of experience in banking and financial service industry. His experience spans across credit bureau management, business development, credit underwriting, structured finance, and risk management. Prior to joining Experian, he was the founding team member and the chief risk officer at Avanti Finance, a new age digital lending NBFC. He has a strong understanding of the financial service domain and knowledge. Some of his companies that he is associated with was ICICI Bank. He also had stints with Tata Motors Finance, Tata Finance, and Sundaram Finance. Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan, for making it. We have Mr. Anand Bajaj. He's the founder, MD, and CEO for Pay Nearby. He's an IIMA alumnus and a chartered accountant. He's the founder of Pay Nearby. Coming with 23 years of experience in digital payments and mobility, Anand holds 6 patents in banking technology. Let's give it to him. He has worked earlier with Yes Bank, ICICI Bank, Ernst & Young. He was the president and chief innovation officer at Yes Bank, where he led several high-impact programs in digital payments. Thank you so much, Mr. Anand. Before we start with the panel discussion, may I request our honorary chairman, Shri Sunil Ji Karve, to please welcome our panelists with a token of appreciation. Thank you, sir. I think we are all set to go. My first question is to Mohan sir. Mohan sir comes with 40 years of experience in the banking sector. So as I said, he's lived the entire era of various crises that the Indian banking sector has witnessed. And the Indian banking sector changed its vision with time. We're beginning with 1991, with the biggest ever economic crisis that the country experienced. And India had to pledge its gold to actually stay globally liquid. And that gave birth to LPG. We're moving to the financial apocalypse of 2008. Thereafter, the banking sector witnessed the asset quality issues in 2015. And RBI withdrew all forms of forbearance in 2015. The asset quality review became important to the very recent global pandemic. What next, Mohan sir, is what I was, especially knowing that the Indian banking sector is already undergoing a lot of changes with technological advancement, changing consumer behavior, and the geopolitical issues. What do you think the Indian banking sector will look like moving ahead into the future?
Thank you so much. I think Mr. Nair, Janhavi, in their addresses, have already covered what should be there, as he rightly said, on the technological advancement. I think what is most important for the banking industry today to look at, where are we today? So what is my present status? Let me tell you that as we have seen the banking industry, today banking industry is in the best possible health situation. The asset quality is very good, the financial parameters are good, everything is good. Now the biggest challenge with the banking industry is to ensure that this status is retained and maintained. For which, as I said, banking is a lifeline of economy, and you should be a problem solver and not a mere lender. So when you get into that situation, you will be in a position to retain the present position, and whatever the country is looking for, an average GDP growth of 7 to 10% to reach to the numbers what we want to become the third largest economy and all that. I think the banking industry has the biggest role to play to ensure that the present strengths and the asset quality part of it is maintained properly, and for which a lot of efforts will be required for the banking industry. Now, having said that, I will always suggest the banking industry or anybody to decide your line of action through a proper SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? So, as I said, today the strength is the size of the banking industry. In good old days, we never used to find Indian banks in top 100 also of global banks. Today, we have got good number. The consolidation in the banking industry has helped leveraging the resources, has helped in giving the size which is globally competitive. Now, you have to reap this opportunity. But most important is that when you are talking of the inclusive growth, when you are talking about the lifeline of the economy, your reach and access, which is still, I feel, is a long way to go. Whether you talk of banking, whether you talk of insurance, whether you talk of the investment part, I think lot opportunities are there where you can really go ahead. And there where, as everybody said, your data revolution, data and analytics, use of AI, ML is really going to make a difference. Here I would like to give a reference. Recently, you must have read or heard the Governor of the Bank of India talking about trinity of Aadhaar, UPI and ULI. That is Unified Lending Interface. That is going to be digital lending platform. Although there are digital lending platforms, but this platform which Reserve Bank wants, here complete process part and everything will happen digital. And earlier we used to call Jam Trinity. That is Jandhan, Aadhaar and mobile. That is mobility. Now he had coined a new trinity, that is Jam, UPI and ULI. And I think this is what will have to be really reaped. But one thing which I feel as a banker, bankers will have to work very hard towards complete digitization of the activities like trade finance, the various lending activities where paperwork is involved. I think we'll have to do away with the paperwork. It has to be completely digitized end to end. And I always use a word that the banker have to connect to the life cycle of the customer, life cycle of the product. And if that is achieved, I think it's a big way. The challenges which I would like to put today, it is good that so much awareness has increased among the investors. But this has brought a challenge for the banking industry to mobilize the deposits, which is the raw material. Without deposit, what do I do? So bankers will have to work very hard to see that how you really ensure that your deposit mobilization is adequate enough to meet the lending requirements. And I think if that is met with the banking in the future, we can see that today, whether you talk in terms of the market cap for the bankers, everything is positive, positive, and positive. But retention of the positivity is the most challenging. I think that's all.
During my interactions with Mohan sir, he always kept saying that banking to the last mile. So let me come to you, Mr. Bajaj. Technology was formally introduced in the banking sector in 1988, and thereafter there was no turning. We see most of the activities in the banking sector has been digitalized. There is widespread use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, predictive analysis. But until banking gets to the last mile, somewhere there is a gap there. So how does advancements in technology contribute to the expansion of financial service to the unbanked population? And what are some of the innovations that the banking sector has taken up in order to address this unbanked population?
Too loaded a question. If I say that in 1875 someone said that whatever was to be innovated has been innovated, and then after the patent started actually filing, and so much of innovation has happened. So a good start of technology was just a seed in banking. Every element that is now getting unveiled is a combinatorial force with crowdsourcing from so many other elements. If you look at what really technology is, not just in banking, core banking, but right from the mobility that has reached the last mile, a connectivity line, Aadhaar enablement for identification, or a consent layer that was built on top of Aadhaar. So there are many combinatorial forces that are actually in unison helping reach the services to common man. But what is more interesting is that with the identification of greed and fear as two elements to propel any economy, greed has played well with all the Google, PhonePe, Paytm, where the loyalties shift over a transaction. And hence, most of them with a gunpowder full, trying to woo the same set of customers, the digital savvy value seekers. I won't call it greedy today, but otherwise we call it digital savvy greedy segment. But the value seekers, they are actually being overfed with technology. That is India. And then there is 90% Bharat, which is where Mohan sir actually gave us this terminology that the segment that we are serving is actually Bharat. And Rama Bijapurkar says there is enough of Bharat in India and enough of India in Bharat. So there are pockets of excellence where what we try to do at Nearby Technologies is to digitize, sachetize, and universalize. So we are attempting to make simple modules of technologies and then amplify it to the common man. So I think the real impact of technology will be when it is amplified to the remaining 90% of Bharat, beyond the people in the room or in the urban centers. So like a stark example of a MNC bank, a friend at Citibank used to say, digitize, youthize, and urbanize. It is mostly about the modern economy, but we say digitize, sachetize, and universalize to the 90% of the Bharat, which is where we see the PE ratio of the India and Sharpe ratio of Bharat are almost equal. And this is the moment where we will unlock Bharat with technology. Thank you.
I would just like to add, I mean, all of us should be sensitized to it. While we are seeing such a good economic growth, what we talk Bharat, I'm associated with Anand for the last couple of years, and as he said, the terminology was given by me. Honestly speaking, the per capita income in Bharat is much, much less. And there's a lot of focus is required to see that their per capita income is really elevated to a level where it meets the basic requirements. Yeah. Kiran.
We're talking about Bharat, we're talking about India, but at the end of the day, we're talking about customers who are using the banking services. Kiran, this one is for you. In the recent years, there has been a growing discussion on the ability of financial institutions to adapt their services to meet the expectations of the digital-first customers. So on this slide, can the banks stay in their domain in the future and design financial products according to the banking customers' expectation? Or do you think these banks will be replaced by fintech companies?
Thank you so much for your question. First of all, sir, congratulations on your book. I think it was very beautifully summarized by Mr. Nair and Janvi in terms of the chapters. I think for the larger audience here, if you go through that book, it'll reflect a journey of last few decades on how banking has evolved, because I was just glancing at it, and it's very fascinating. Now, coming to your point, whether banks will get disintermediated in the journey, I think what's very important to realize is that we are blessed that we live in this day and age. Today, our economy is 3.3, 3.5 trillion, roughly. China's is at about 20 billion, right? And we are running in that direction. So in the next 5-10 years, imagine the size of economy that India will have. And that has to come with the banking, because banking is the backbone of any financial economy. What I think we always misrepresent is that fintechs are collaborators. If they start with a mindset to disintermediate bank, they will not go anywhere. And if banks do not accept them as partners that can take them to the next level of evolution, I think that will again be an underestimation. And I think Anand's company is a beautiful example of that, because he's been banker and he now knows how to collaborate and he's had great success. So I believe that there will be a great collaboration between fintech world and banking as we evolve from here. And it's a great journey. Just imagine India will be 5 times its size in say 7-8 years. Banking would be much bigger than what it is. So we are not just talking about current ecosystem, but much larger ecosystem. So I'm very excited about that collaboration that will take place.
So thank you, Kiran. Kiran spoke about collaboration between fintech and the banking industry, which shows that there's going to be a lot of requirement for us to look at the softer issues. We're talking about employees here. So my next question to Mandar. Mandar, you've been in leadership positions for most part of your career, and I will take from this word culture enabler. We've been talking about technology, machine learning, robotics.
That their roles will be disintermediated over a period of time. So the first thing is clearly to make people understand how technology can play a role. Right? There was technology back in 90s. There was technology in 2000. There is new technology which is evolving. How AI, how ML, how some of those things will play an important role, and how those are important tools for future. And how do you make your organization adopt to some of those tools? So first point is get rid of the fear by bringing some of the understanding into the system. The second aspect is to really educate people about what's happening and what's the direction of your organization. It's very important for leaders to create the vision of the organization, to create the roadmap and communicate it very well within the wider ecosystem of your employees, your client base. and maybe even larger stakeholders as you kind of build your organization. And lastly, let's not, as you look to grow your organization, let's not forget about the most basic human values, which is kindness, empathy, of looking and taking care of everybody who is involved within the system. Just because somebody is not able to do a job in particular area doesn't mean that that person is not useful or cannot do job in another areas. So be slightly more accommodative, be slightly more kinder, show empathy within your organization and practice it on day-to-day basis. If you kind of do those, I think broadly you should be okay as an organization. And obviously there will be a lot of people-specific initiatives which you would want to take in terms of building camaraderie, teamwork, in terms of enhancing the knowledge base, so on and so forth.
With the advancement in technology and automation, risk management in banks has changed substantially over the past 10 years. In fact, Mr. Srinivasan, 2023 undeniably etched its place in the financial service history, a year marked with accelerating change and a precarious financial climate, having seen 5 top bank failures, including the Silicon Valley Bank. With such kind of collapse in the last 15 years, I was thinking about what is the kind of technology and automation that will be required to look at risk and compliance moving ahead? What needs to be done and from something different from what is already existing?
Thanks. Risk is not really a bad word. We have famous kind of putting here. I think understanding of risk and the ability to be able to manage, mitigate, and manage that is the core needs of this organization. And when we look at what's been happening in the country, while we talk about global banks, India today has been a lot more for the last decade or so. Largely because I think we have a regulator. Largely I would say because we have a regulator who's been very proactive about what needs to be done in this space. Every aspect of the businesses that we are looking at today, we have the regulator and what it is. And so far, and so forth. We had instances where we growing programs. We had index across the board. Now, how does industry kind of work collaboratively with because banking, what it was, let's say, a decade or two back, is not really the same as what it is. In the evolution that we're seeing, the technological advancements that we have made, it's made things a lot easier and simpler for humanity. And the generation that's sitting in the back here, right? I would believe that you would ever be accessing the bank finance. Everything's available in the with all of these developments, it's more about how do we enable banking to become not just leaders. And that's really where I think the focus will be. We have huge data. As a data company, you can say that how is the entire base or any data. How do we mine that? How do we use that? Use it appropriately to take things forward. How do we make it access or as available to customers? I think that's what we did. That's where I think all the investments will be reached.
Thank you so much. Mr. Shetty, with the upsurge of Neobank 3 and rise of limitless banking, what are some of the innovations in core banking technology and generative AI that is making limitless banking a reality?
So, if you look at the banking today, I come from a generation when I used to go to branches and withdraw money, to getting ATM card and getting money, and now probably walking into a location and getting money. It has been evolving consistently. I think the generative AI is going to get a whole new paradigm. While it can be irritating when you call a bank today saying press 1, press 2, press 3, press 4, and then go up and down. But please recognize that that part is evolving. And if the banks get it right, there's an opportunity for the services to become more meaningful and cheaper. So I believe the scale of generative AI and the impact of generative AI for me as a consumer, for all of us as consumer, is going to be immense. And the journey has started. 5-6 years back, you never had 1, 2, 3, 4. It was more frustration then. Now you at least get some answers. So yeah, I think very exciting times in terms of machine learning, generative AI. It will become integral part of our journey, and the machines will learn more and more and become more effective from here on, is how I see it.
We're speaking about digital transformation. We're talking about neobanks. We're talking about limitless banking. Here we're talking about great use of technology. So Mr. Sri Krishnan, what are some of the risks associated with the digital transformation in the financial sector? And how are banks engaging with fintechs in managing this risk along the entire lending cycle?
Kiran has to leave for some global call. So thank you so much, Kiran. Thank you. Thank you. Plant. And book.
Spoke about it. So there are ways that we see, right? So we're going through the digital transformation. Everything that we want to be looking at will be so the earlier phase that I was speaking back, so I was speaking about when banks kind of diversify equity. That was a case maybe mid-2000s or late 2000s. People were used to corporate banking, people were used to doing things in a certain way. And then we have this whole new generation which is looking at giving out loans to cities. We didn't have that fiscal people. That was a challenge at that point in time. Today, if you look at it, maybe we're going through a different phase. So the challenge in some sense reflects here as well. So we're talking about saying, how do we reskill people to be able to adapt to what's now going to be the future of the formula that was talking about. That is real because people who work for decades in the industry, difficult to kind of pick up a new skill. But the new skill is what's required in the new generation. Where people like you kind of graduate when you come out, who come and train in these skills. That's really where I think, in some sense, the cultural adoption has to happen. It's a risk, it's a big risk that I personally believe as an industry we could start thinking about. We move a little bit beyond the cultural aspect of things. We look at digital lending, right? When we say digital transformation, everything is digital. When everything is digital, which in some sense means that you are interfacing with a lot of data. You're interfacing with a lot of data, you're interfacing with data to kind of bring things together to be able to decision data. And when we're looking at decisions, it's no longer about people taking decisions manually, but it's about automated decisions. We have models, we have scorecards, we have a plethora of things that help decision better and decision faster. But the pace at which things are changing today, right? The amount of data access that banks have today. Some of these models don't really hold up to now. So if we come back to assume that there is a model that was in earlier times when we were even a decade back, you would look at saying the model would be replaced every 6 years. Today it's no longer true. Every 6 months you can actually end up having to replace a model. But there's so much more data that can help you increase the strength of that decision system. Clearly an area that is at risk. We need to be able to recognize that and start to address it. Another area that when it comes to digital transformation, when things are easier, access is easier, which also then means that the ability for fraudsters to come is much higher. Propensity for frauds significantly higher than what used to be the brick and mortar world into the future. But how do we kind of prepare ourselves for that? How do we kind of address some of those risks that people have? So that's again a key aspect of what we need to look at when it comes to risk management there. I would say so these are a few things that really comes to mind.
Mohan sir, from physical banking to digital banking, you have not only adapted, but you have actually driven this change. So I wanted you to share with the students what is your learning approach and how you keep yourself relevant in today's times.
I think it's very, very relevant for one to remain relevant. Otherwise, I would not have been here. I am very sure about it. Friends, I will say that as a student or as any individual in any profession, one, you have to believe that change is the constant. Change is the only constant. It means changes are going to take place. Now, how do I really keep myself ready? One is I should be very open to accept the changes. It means I'll have to be, I don't have to be rigid about, no, it has to be like that. You have to be ready for moving, and that's what has really brought the evolution in the banking industry. I'm a banker who has never seen any machinery when I joined the bank, except maybe the calculator. 1988, the Rangarajan committee introduced the computerization. And today, I think the entire banking industry is only on the digital platforms. So adaptation is possible when you are ready to accept the change. Second is, as you rightly said, that how do you really keep yourself relevant? Now, this is most important part. I always suggest to the students whenever I interact with them. One is that know yourself. What is that I am? What is that I want to be? Accordingly, I must keep on reading the information of domestic as well as the global happenings around the areas which are of my interest, and upskill and reskill yourself on an ongoing basis. If today anybody says that, like I'm a cost accountant, I'm a so-and-so, and so why should I? No. Today, if you want to really remain relevant, a constant upskilling and reskilling is the buzzword if you want to really go forward. Thank you.
Mandar, you've been leading some tech innovations at Formedian, and in our last few interactions, I get to know that we see some positive tech disruptions moving ahead. Do you think our Indian banks are geared for such kind of potential tech disruptions coming ahead?
I'm honored to have another loaded question from you. So the short answer is yes. The short answer is Indian banks are geared towards adopting towards technology. However, what happens is typically in any research and technology, you tend to see a lot of innovation coming from the left and right of the field, not from the center of the field. And in financial world, a lot of the center is really the banking industry. But what banking industry has been really good about is in terms of adopting that innovation in a framework which does not disrupt the business continuity. So you are on cusp of seeing a Web3 revolution, and today the way the technology is changing is where internet was in 94. So you just can't imagine how that revolution will change, right? You are also on a cusp of seeing probably a 1% unicorn in our lifetime, which is really unthinkable, right? So technology is definitely and rapidly evolving. Banks, I'm pretty certain, looking at last 50, 60 years of history, that it will adopt, right? One of the famous Fed chairperson once said that the only innovation which banking was involved in was ATM machine. And since then, we've seen the kind of innovation which banking has adopted. So short answer is yes, I would expect banks to adopt to that innovation. but it will adopt it in its own time frame, within its own governance system, and ensuring that the whole ecosystem does not go for a toss.
Let me come to financial inclusion once again. With 7,50,000 plus villages, almost 5 lakhs are still unbanked. Mr. Bajaj, what are the key challenges that today banks face in promoting financial inclusion, and how does technology and regulators support to address these challenges?
So I think the challenge mainly is about the awareness, about the accessibility and affordability. Are people aware of it? Is the service available at that last mile? Is it affordable for both the sides? And trust me, after launching 3 key products at Global FinTech Festival, we realized that there is so much of opportunity to sachetize mutual fund to the common man, sachetize recurring deposit of a bank to the common man. The challenge, however, will remain that from a transaction banking perspective, your job is done the moment you process a ATM withdrawal and you are done. But when you dispense a mutual fund or a recurring deposit of 250 rupees, you have actually taken upon a customer service responsibility for a lifetime. So the key challenge, and I empathize with the bank friends, the seniors, that the way they have built the banking is that mostly the banking is concentrated with the digital savvy and the rich people. Because to be able to take it in a components to the last mile, it becomes very, very costly. Thanks for calling out the reach of the villages. That's almost equivalent to the reach that we have built, trying to say Har Dukan Digital Pradhan, that a shopkeeper is actually a harbinger of digitization. And if we are able to take the sachet of banking, the trust of banking through a trusted retail touch point to the common man, I think Kiran said it, that it's a collaboration, not a competition between a bank and a fintech. So I think, yes, affordability, awareness and accessibility, they get solved with good technology deployment.
One last question. One last question, common question to all the panelists. We have a lot of students, a lot of my students gathered here. One advice that you want to give to the aspiring leaders of tomorrow. Maybe I'll request Mohan sir to talk about the power of mentoring.
I think all through my career, right from school to today's date, I believe that it is the mentor, whether he is my school teacher or whether he is my chairman of the bank, is the most important person in my career who gives me the finger to hold. And I think all of us today should believe that the mentoring, adaptation or accepting the mentoring is the best way to move forward. Today, if I am here, I am honored that my mentor, Mr. M.V. Nair, is here as a guest of honor. The mentor gives you a direction for growth. Mentor gives you direction for ethical behavior, orderly growth, and also takes care of your work-life balance. You will find all these things are captured into my book from the different mentors. How exactly, it's not only the extraction of the work. It is the mentor takes care of how comfortable you are and what is your work-life balance, which really keeps your potential to work on a consistent basis. The only thing which is very important for a mentee is an acceptance that, yes, I need to improve upon. The biggest challenge today, let me tell you, is that everybody feels, अरे, मेरे को तो आता है, मुझे क्या करना है? But if you are open to improve upon what you are, the mentor's role in your career makes all the difference. Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Bajaj.
Mr. Nair, thank you very much, because all of this, what he got from you, he's passing on to us. And I feel privileged, and thank you so much once again, sir. So I think about not an advice, but self-belief कि यही माटी उभरेगी, यही जर्रा चमकेगा. ये बात दिमाग में, जहन में दबा के बैठ जाइए. मतलब feel that significance of, and I keep saying it, but my wife doesn't believe it, कि अहम ब्रह्मास्मि. Feel that power of yourself, and with that confidence, you will cross every obstacle. Thank you.
Very well said, Anand. No, I firmly believe that what's important as we kind of graduate out and move into the world, that no job is too big or small. Every job is an opportunity for you to learn, to skill yourself. Because you never really know when you'll be able to bring all of those learnings together into something that could be a real big opportunity. And just stay at it.
I think I would have many things to share, but let me just restrict myself to the lessons which I've learned from the book. And the couple which really stand out, apart from all the things which we've spoken about, is one is how do you navigate some of the challenging situations in your life? You know, what do you do when you're facing a really difficult situation? How do you think about it? How do you navigate it? And over a period of time, how do you build mental models around navigating that and just use that to grow in your life? And secondly is about really looking at opportunities, right? Can opportunities, or do opportunities and obvious opportunities, or are these really problems which are hiding as opportunities? I think as you read through the book, you will find many more examples of what Sir has talked about. And if you start believing in some of those and start acting in those, that will definitely help you at the start of your journey.
I think this has been a power-packed panel discussion. Thank you to each one of you for your sharing and contribution. Before I call Professor Minothi to propose the vote of thanks, Mohan sir would like to say something.
I also want to propose the vote of thanks only. I will do from my end, because that Minothi can take care just of the thanks. Very good evening, and once again, big thanks to the audience. Great. So at the outset, my sincere thanks to the Chairman, Keynote Educational Trust, Mr. Karve, and the entire management who have really given this opportunity to host the book launch at their place and organize the thing so well. So my sincere thanks to you, sir. And of course, all of you should know that this book is there today because of your director, Svetlana, who has been a motivating force. No, sir, you have to do it. I said, yeah, I really do not know the writing part. I've been using the stenographers all my life. She says, so don't worry, I'm your stenographer. And she became a digital stenographer for me. And that's how so thank you very much, Svetlana, for all this. So I'm very sure that students, you all are today enriched with the information on the financial sector. My suggestion to you is that what you have learned, that has been my practice. I would jot down before I go to bed and read it and absorb it, imbibe it. I think that's very important. My gratitude to my mentor, Mr. Nair, who has been mentoring me from 2006 onwards. Although we worked together in Union Bank of India for 3 years, but all along from 2006 to till date, he is with me. And my other mentors, Mr. Leeladhar, Mr. K.R. Kamath, I mean, they are there with me for decades. And I feel that there are no words to express your gratitude to your mentors. And that's what you all should bear in mind. My thanks to all the panel members. I am associated with them in some or the other manner, and they all have really contributed so well in their discussion and shared their knowledge and experience. Well, my team, Svetlana, Mandar, Janvi, Roy Chaudhary, Sharad, they all have worked for months together with me to see that this book takes a shape and it gets completed, and today the launch could happen. I think I have no words to say thanks to them. I'll ever remain obliged for that. Once again, thanks to Minoti, the entire management team who have been working hard for last almost week or so on seeing that this event goes through very well, and thus my thanks to all of them. Last but not the least, I must express thanks and gratitude to my parents. Thanks to my better half, Nandini Tangsale, sitting here, and my children who have ever been ready and have sacrificed their convenience for the growth of my career. I think that's what makes the family. Thank you very much. All the very best. Yeah, sorry, before I move, my again suggestion to the students is that future belongs to those who dream. So dream big. Have a big dream, but dreaming alone is not enough. You must get committed to what you aspire to achieve, and thus get for that. Your director, Madam Svetlana, is a firm believer that the power of your subconscious mind will determine your destiny. There's a book that she presented to me. This is the title of this book, and that says, "Never give up, never say die. Convert all challenges into opportunities, and you will go ahead in the curve all the time." Thank you so much.
The last time I delivered a vote of thanks, one of my colleagues playfully asked me why I needed to actually make a list and thank so many people. The only answer I offered was, I think people need to be thanked. But look at how Gertrude Stein puts across the same sentiment. She says, and I quote, "Silent gratitude isn't very much to anyone," unquote. Drawing inspiration from this, I am indeed going to be vocal about all those I need to thank for this wonderful event. On behalf of KT Schools of Management's Learning Resource Center and Granth Gyaanis, I thank our dignitaries, Mr. Mohan Tangsare and Ms. Nandini Tangsare, Mr. M.V. Nair, Mr. Anand Kumar Bajaj, Mr. Mandar Mhatre, Mr. Kiran Shetty, Mr. Sai Krishnan Srinivasan, Ms. Janvi Samant, all the members of the industry who have joined us today, and all those well-wishers who have joined us online. Our Vastu at KBS and KMS is blessed by your presence. Every program we organize here has the solid support of the leadership team comprising our honorary chairman, CA Sunil G. Karve, Dr. Sandeep Sawant, Dr. Svetlana Tatuskar, Dr. Bharati Deshpande, and CA Pallavi Ambedkar. I'm deeply indebted to them for their guidance. Our biggest wealth is our students, faculty, and staff, whom I thank for their enthusiasm. I thank our student team who offered support in the form of comparing and other arrangements for the program. I thank the support provided by the Trust Office, the Accounts Office, our tech team, Sriram, Savan and Ketan Panchal in particular, our marketing team, Sachin Mistry in particular, our maintenance team, Amol Ghadi in particular, our office assistants, our canteen and housekeeping staff. Thank you all for making this first event under Granth Gyaanis a memorable one. And on behalf of everyone present here, I wish Mohan Tangsare sir and his entire team good luck for the success of the book.
I would just like to add that I have a presence of my colleagues from the bank industry, then from the Rubik Data Science, Chartered Accountant Mr. Pradeep Sancheti. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to all of those who could make it. Director, PTVA, Tejashri, then Dr. Sucheta Pawar from India Education Society. They all have been a big, big, big motivator and supporter to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone. I will end by speaking about my favorite chapter in the book, which is titled, Let Your Boss Worry About Your Potential Until You Become the Boss. So thank you so much.